Let me tell you something that most people in the preparedness space do not want to admit out loud. Building a meaningful food stockpile does not require spending thousands of dollars. Does not require a dedicated room, a chest freezer, or a bulk food delivery subscription. What it requires is knowing which foods deliver the most calories, the most nutrition, and the longest shelf life for the fewest dollars spent, and then buying those foods consistently, over time, before you need them. That is exactly what this video is about. We are counting down 20 foods that can each be purchased for under $1 per serving. $1 total. $1 per serving, meaning $1 gets you a full meal portion of that food. Some of these come in at 10 cents per serving, some at 25. Handful approach the $1 ceiling, but every single one of them clears it. And every single one of them belongs in a serious, budget-conscious preparedness pantry. For each item, we are going to give you the current approximate cost per serving based on national average retail pricing, the calories per serving, the key nutritional value, the realistic shelf life, and a supply chain note that tells you why this item is under price pressure right now, and why buying it today is smarter than buying it 6 months from now. By the time we reach number 1, you will have a complete, affordable, and genuinely nutritious emergency food framework that any household can build on any budget. Starting at number 20. Item 20. Canned corn cost per serving. Approximately 0.28 calories per serving. 70 calories, half cup. Shelf life. 2 to 5 commercially canned corn sits at the bottom of this list not because it lacks value, but because it is one of the more modest performers in the calorie per dollar calculation among the 20 items we are covering today. A standard 15-ounce can of corn contains 3 to 4 servings, retails nationally for approximately 85 cents to $1.10 depending on brand and store, and provides a modest 70 calories per half-cup serving. Canned corn earns its place on this list is in nutritional diversification and palatability. Corn provides thiamine, vitamin B1, folate, vitamin C, magnesium, and phosphorus, a micronutrient profile that complements a diet heavy in rice and dried beans. More practically, it provides sweetness, color, and texture variety that makes simple grain-based meals significantly more enjoyable to eat day after day. The psychological value of food variety during an extended disruption is consistently underestimated by people who have never actually lived through one. From a supply chain standpoint, corn is the most abundantly produced crop in the United States, approximately 15 billion bushels harvested annually, and the canning industry is well established domestically. However, canned vegetable prices have risen 20 to 30% since 2020, driven by steel can prices, energy costs for processing facilities, and transportation logistics. Prices have stabilized somewhat but remain elevated above pre-pandemic levels. Storage guidance: keep canned corn in a cool, consistently dry location. Avoid temperature cycling. The expansion and contraction of metal cans through repeated heating and cooling accelerates seal degradation. Rotate your stock using first-in, first-out principles. Never store damaged, dented, or bulging cans. Buy the store brand. It is processed on the same equipment as the name brand and is nutritionally identical. Item 19. Ramen noodles cost per serving. Approximately 0 to 30 calories per serving, 380 calories. 1 package. Shelf life: 2 to 4 years. Sealed ramen noodles are not a nutritional powerhouse. Let us be clear about that from the beginning. A single package of instant ramen contains approximately 1,500 milligrams of sodium, more than 2/3 of the daily recommended limit, minimal protein, almost no fiber, and virtually no micronutrients worth mentioning. The noodle block itself is essentially refined wheat flour and palm oil. Yet ramen earns its place on this budget countdown for 2 specific reasons. First, it is extraordinarily calorie-dense relative to its cost. 380 calories per package and approximately 0.33 cents per package when bought in bulk. Ramen delivers calories at roughly 0.87 tenths per thousand calories, a figure that is difficult to match with any other ready-to-eat food available in a standard grocery store. Pure caloric emergency. That number matters. Second, ramen's palatability is unmatched among budget shelf-stable foods. Children accept it without complaint. Adults eat it willingly. A scenario where other stored foods may face psychological resistance. Plain rice, unseasoned beans, unfamiliar preparations. Having a food that people will eat readily and reliably has real functional value. The smart approach to ramen in a preparedness pantry is to treat it as a caloric supplement and morale item, not a dietary foundation. Pair it with protein from canned fish or beans, add a handful of dried vegetables, and use it as a fast, low-effort meal option rather than a primary nutritional source. Storage guidance: buy in case quantities of 24 or 48 packages. Store in a cool, dark location. For extended storage, vacuum seal packages inside Mylar bags to delay flavor packet degradation. Rotate every 2 to 3 years. The noodle itself outlasts the flavor packet. Old ramen noodles can be repurposed in soups, stir-fries, or with fresh seasoning long after the original packet has gone flat. Item 18. Canned chickpeas cost per serving. Approximately 0.40 calories per serving. 120 calories, half cup, shelf life. 3 to 5 years. Commercially canned chickpeas, also sold as garbanzo beans, are one of the most nutritionally complete legumes available in canned form. And at approximately 0.4 per serving, they represent exceptional value for the protein, fiber, and micronutrient density they provide. Half-cup serving of canned chickpeas delivers 7 grams of protein, 6 grams of dietary fiber, and meaningful amounts of iron, folate, manganese, phosphorus, and B vitamins. Protein-to-calorie ratio is among the highest of any plant food available at this price point. Combined with grains, rice, pasta, or cornmeal, chickpeas provide a complete amino acid profile that meets basic protein requirements without any animal products. The culinary versatility of chickpeas is exceptional by canned legume standards. They can be eaten cold from the can in a simple salad. They can be mashed into a rough hummus with oil and salt. They can be added to soups, curries, and grain dishes. They can be roasted, using a portable camp stove or any heat source, into a crunchy snack. For a food that costs under $0.50 per serving, this range of applications is remarkable. Canned chickpeas are a somewhat unusual case in the supply chain context. They are primarily produced from dried chickpeas that are grown in the United States, Canada, India, and Australia, processed domestically and packed in American facilities. Their supply chain is less internationally dependent than many other canned goods, though steel can prices and processing energy costs have pushed prices upward. Storage guidance: standard canned good storage, cool, dry, dark location. Buy generic or store brand. Case of 12 15-ounce cans provides approximately 36 half-cup servings and costs roughly $15 at current pricing. Date each case with a permanent marker and rotate systematically. Item 17. Canned whole tomatoes cost per serving. Approximately 0.38 calories per serving. 45 calories. Half cup. Shelf life: 3 to 5 years. Commercially canned tomatoes are not on this list for their caloric density, at 45 calories per half-cup serving. They are among the lowest calorie foods we are covering today. They are here because of what they do to everything else in a preparedness pantry. Can of whole or crushed tomatoes transforms dried beans from plain survival food into something that tastes like a real meal. Turns white rice into a satisfying tomato-based dish. It is the foundation of soups, stews, pasta sauces, and curries that make simple grain and protein combinations palatable for extended periods. In a long-term food storage context, the ability to create variety from the same base ingredients is one of the most important factors in maintaining normal eating patterns and morale, and canned tomatoes are one of the most powerful tools for doing that. From a nutritional standpoint, canned tomatoes provide lycopene, a carotenoid antioxidant that becomes more bioavailable through the heating process of canning than it is in raw tomatoes, along with vitamin C, potassium, and folate. The lycopene content of commercially canned tomatoes is actually higher than that of fresh tomatoes on a per-gram basis, making canned the nutritional equal or superior of fresh in this regard. Italy produces approximately 40% of the world's processed tomatoes, making the canned tomato supply chain partially import-dependent in the U.S. market. Weather events affecting Italian harvests, shipping disruptions, and the weak dollar relative to the euro have all contributed to price increases in imported canned tomato products. Storage guidance by crushed, whole, or diced all store equally well. San Marzano varieties are a premium option but not necessary for storage purposes. Case of 12 28-ounce cans is a good starting quantity. Store in a cool, stable temperature location and rotate on a 3 to 4 year cycle. Item 16. Canola oil cost per serving, approximately to 20 calories per serving, 120 calories, 1 tablespoon. Shelf life, 1 to 2 years sealed, 6 to 12 months opened. Cooking oil is caloric infrastructure. Does not get enough attention in budget preparedness discussions, but the reality is that fat, at 9 calories per gram, is the most energy-dense macronutrient available, and having reliable cooking fat is essential for making stored foods palatable, meeting daily caloric targets, and cooking efficiently over any heat source. Canola oil is the most economical cooking oil widely available in the United States. Approximately $0 per tablespoon when purchased in gallon jugs, it delivers 120 calories, meaning canola oil provides approximately 1,000 calories per dollar at gallon pricing. This is one of the highest calorie per dollar ratios of any food on this list. Beyond raw caloric density, canola oil has a neutral flavor profile that works in virtually any cooking application: sautéing, frying, baking, and dressing. It has a reasonably high smoke point of approximately 400 degrees Fahrenheit, making it suitable for higher heat cooking methods. Unlike many vegetable oils, canola oil has a relatively favorable fatty acid profile with significant oleic acid monounsaturated content and meaningful omega-3 alpha-linolenic acid, giving it a nutritional edge over pure refined soybean oil. Supply chain note: canola oil prices have been significantly affected by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Canada is the world's largest canola producer, but the global vegetable oil market is interconnected, and disruptions to any major vegetable oil supply, sunflower, palm, soybean, create ripple effects across the entire category. Canola oil retail prices rose approximately 80% between 2020 and 2022 before partially stabilizing. The underlying structural pressures remain. Storage guidance: store sealed gallon jugs in a cool, dark location. Refrigerate open jugs if possible to slow oxidation. For stockpiling, buy multiple sealed gallon jugs and plan to rotate on an 18-month cycle. A gallon of canola oil contains approximately 30,000 calories, equivalent to roughly 15 days of full caloric needs for one adult. 15. Instant coffee cost per serving, approximately 50 calories per serving, 5 calories, 1 teaspoon in hot water. Shelf life, 15 to 25 years sealed properly. Instant coffee appears on this budget list because at approximately $0.15 per serving, a generous mug prepared from a standard freeze-dried or spray-dried instant coffee. It is one of the cheapest sources of caffeine available anywhere, and caffeine, in a preparedness context, is not a luxury, is a functional tool. Coffee consumption has measurable effects on alertness, sustained attention, physical performance, and mood. Effects that become more valuable, not less, in a disruption scenario when sleep may be irregular, stress is elevated, and the cognitive demands of managing a difficult situation are high. Regular coffee drinkers who experience caffeine withdrawal suffer headaches, fatigue, and reduced concentration within 12 to 24 hours of stopping, a significant impairment at exactly the wrong time. Beyond its caffeine content, the morale dimension of a hot cup of coffee in a difficult situation is difficult to quantify but widely recognized. Wartime food rationing studies, coffee and tea consistently ranked among the most important morale items, more valued per unit of weight than many calorie-dense foods. From a budget standpoint, instant coffee in bulk tin form, brands like Nescafé Gold, Folgers Instant, or Mount Hagen freeze-dried, provides hundreds of servings per tin at a per-serving cost that is a fraction of brewed coffee or any commercial beverage. 12-ounce tin of instant coffee provides approximately 170 standard servings at $25 retail, or under 0.15 per serving. Storage guidance: Sealed tins stored in a cool, dark location will maintain quality for 5 or more years. Transferred to sealed glass jars or Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, freeze-dried instant coffee can maintain flavor and potency for 15 years or more. Keep in small containers to avoid repeated exposure of the full supply to air. 14. Non-fat dry milk powder cost per serving, approximately 0.20 calories per serving. 80 calories, reconstituted to 1 cup shelf life, 2 to 5 years at room temperature. Up to 25 years optimally stored dry milk powder is one of the most nutritionally dense items on this entire list relative to its cost, and it fills a specific gap that most other budget shelf-stable foods cannot address. Dairy nutrition, including calcium, vitamin D, and high-quality protein, without refrigeration. Single cup of reconstituted non-fat dry milk provides 8 grams of complete protein, a protein profile that includes all essential amino acids in proportions that match human nutritional requirements. Provides approximately 30% of the daily recommended calcium intake, riboflavin, vitamin B2, and vitamins A and D when fortified. For children especially, these nutrients are not optional. Adequate calcium and vitamin D during growth periods have lifelong skeletal consequences. In a preparedness pantry, dry milk powder serves multiple functions beyond direct consumption. It can be added to oatmeal, rice dishes, and soups to increase protein and caloric density. It is the foundation of white sauces, baked goods, and hot beverages. Can be used to make yogurt with a simple culture starter. These applications dramatically expand the culinary range available from a simple grain and legume-based pantry. The cost equation is particularly compelling when you compare dry milk to fresh milk. Approximately $0.22 per reconstituted cup, dry milk is competitive with fresh milk pricing in most markets, and it does not require refrigeration, does not spoil within a week, and can be stored for years. Storage guidance. Purchase USDA grade a non-fat dry milk in sealed foil pouches or 10 cans from emergency food retailers. Augustin Farms, Thrive Life, and Honeyville all produce reliable products. Store in a consistently cool location. Temperature is the single largest factor in achieving maximum shelf life. 25-pound bucket of non-fat dry milk powder provides approximately 270 cups of reconstituted milk. Item 13. All-purpose flour cost per serving, approximately 8 calories per serving, 10 calories. Quarter cup dry shelf life, 1 to 2 years standard. 3 to 5 years vacuum sealed with oxygen absorbers. All-purpose flour is the most versatile cooking ingredient on this list by a significant margin. From a single 5-pound bag, you can produce bread, biscuits, pancakes, pasta, dumplings, flatbreads, thickened soups, fried coatings, and pie crusts. No other single ingredient provides this breadth of culinary capability at this price point. Typically under $4 for a 5-pound bag, or approximately 08 cents per quarter cup serving. At the household budget level, flour is caloric infrastructure in the same category as rice and beans. A quarter cup of dry all-purpose flour contributes 110 calories and provides the structural basis for baked and cooked products that make other stored ingredients far more enjoyable. Bread made from flour and water alone with salt and optional fat is one of the oldest, most universal, and most psychologically satisfying foods in human history. The flour supply chain is more vulnerable than most consumers realize. The United States is a major wheat producer and exporter, which provides some domestic stability. However, the hard red winter wheat belt, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado, is subject to significant weather variability, and recent drought conditions in that region have affected yields. Globally, Ukraine's position as a major wheat exporter means that geopolitical events continue to create price pressure that filters through to flour at retail. All-purpose flour's primary storage limitation is the presence of wheat germ oil, which can oxidize and cause rancidity over time. This is why standard flour has a relatively modest shelf life compared to other items on this list. Removing that oxygen through proper sealed storage dramatically extends usability. Storage guidance. Transfer from paper bags into sealed food-grade containers immediately upon purchase. Vacuum-sealed Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers extend shelf life to 3 to 5 years. Refrigerating or freezing sealed flour bags extends shelf life nearly indefinitely. A 25-pound bag of all-purpose flour costs approximately $12 to $15 and represents roughly 400 quarter-cup servings. Item 12, dried split peas cost per serving. Approximately 11 calories per serving, 230 calories, quarter cup dry yields half cup cooked, shelf life. 8 to 25 years sealed with oxygen absorbers. Dried split peas, both yellow and green varieties, are among the most underrated foods in the entire preparedness category. Their near invisibility in most stockpile discussions is one of the most significant missed opportunities available to budget-focused households. Split peas are field peas that have been dried and mechanically split along their natural seam, which removes the seed coat and dramatically reduces the cooking time relative to whole dried peas or most other legumes. Split pea soup, the most common preparation, cooks from dry in approximately 45 minutes with no soaking required. Fuel-limited scenario. This shorter cooking time translates directly to fuel savings. The nutritional case for split peas is exceptional. A quarter cup of dry split peas, which yields approximately half a cup cooked, contains 16 grams of protein, nearly as much as 2 eggs, along with 13 grams of fiber, substantial folate, iron, potassium, and B vitamins. Protein-to-calorie ratio is one of the highest of any plant food available at this price point, at approximately $0.01 per serving when purchased in bulk. A 1-pound bag costs $1.50 to $2 and contains approximately 15 serving equivalents. Split peas deliver exceptional nutritional value per dollar spent. Yellow split peas have a milder flavor than green split peas and are somewhat more versatile in cooking applications, working well in both savory soups and mild Indian-style dal preparations. Both varieties store identically. Storage guidance. Purchase in bulk from a restaurant supply store or online retailer. Transfer to sealed Mylar bags with 2,000 cc oxygen absorbers inside food-grade Aldtree buckets. 5-gallon bucket holds approximately 30 pounds of split peas. Store in a cool, dry location. Properly sealed, split peas will maintain nutritional value and acceptable palatability for 15 to 25 years. Item 11. Peanut butter cost per serving, approximately 28 calories per serving, 190 calories, 2 tablespoons, shelf life, 1 to 2 years unopened standard. 6 to 9 months opened peanut butter is the most calorie-dense food on this list by calorie per unit volume, and it is one of the very few shelf-stable foods that provide significant quantities of all 3 macronutrients, fat, protein, and carbohydrates, in a single serving. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter deliver 8 grams of protein, 16 grams of fat, 6 grams of carbohydrates, and 190 calories. Approximately 0.28 cents per 2 tablespoon. Serving from a standard 16-ounce jar purchased at a warehouse store, peanut butter provides roughly 680 calories per dollar. Beyond raw nutritional density, peanut butter has a palatability advantage that few other survival foods can match. It requires no preparation, no cooking, no water, and no utensils. Can be consumed directly from the jar with a spoon or spread onto any bread product, cracker, or flatbread. This zero preparation characteristic makes it uniquely valuable in scenarios where fuel, water, or cooking equipment is limited. The caloric density of peanut butter, approximately 100 calories per tablespoon, also makes it one of the most efficient ways to add calories to otherwise low-calorie stored foods. Tablespoon of peanut butter stirred into oatmeal adds 100 calories and substantial protein with almost no effort. This ability to meaningfully increase the caloric density of other foods makes peanut butter a force multiplier in a food storage system. Peanuts are grown primarily in the American Southeast, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, North Carolina, and the peanut butter supply chain is largely domestic. However, drought in the southeastern growing region and competition from global vegetable oil markets, peanuts are also a source of peanut oil. Create some supply chain exposure. Storage guidance. Standard commercial peanut butter, not natural or fresh ground, stores best because the hydrogenated oil prevents separation and extends shelf life. Natural peanut butter, while arguably healthier, has a shorter shelf life and is less practical for long-term storage. Buy in the largest jar format available. Store sealed jars at consistent room temperature, away from heat. A 5-pound tub from a warehouse store costs approximately $8 to $10. Item 10. Canned Chunk Light. Tuna cost per serving, approximately 55 calories per serving. 70 calories, 1 can, drained. Shelf life, 3 to 5 years commercially canned. We are now entering the top 10, and we are shifting from pure calorie economy to nutritional completeness because the goal of preparedness is not just survival, it is functional health under difficult conditions. Chunk Light Tuna is the most affordable source of complete animal protein on this entire list, and it provides something no plant food on this list can supply. Vitamin B12, fully formed EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids, and selenium in meaningful quantities. Single can of Chunk Light Tuna, typically 5 ounces drained, provides approximately 22 grams of high-quality complete protein at approximately 0.55s to 0.75s per can, depending on brand and store. Per gram of protein basis, canned tuna is one of the most economical protein sources available anywhere in the food supply. The protein in tuna is complete. It contains all essential amino acids in proportions that meet human requirements. And it is highly bioavailable, meaning the body can actually use it efficiently. Chunk Light Tuna, made from skipjack tuna, contains significantly lower mercury levels than albacore or white tuna, making it safer for regular consumption. The FDA and EPA guidelines support consuming up to 3 servings of light tuna for most adults, and somewhat less for pregnant women and young children. From a supply chain standpoint, the canned tuna industry experienced significant disruption during 2020 through 2022, with fleet access restrictions in key fishing areas, processing labor shortages, and steel price spikes all contributing to higher retail prices. Prices have not fully returned to pre-pandemic levels. Storage guidance. Store in a cool, dry location away from extreme temperatures. Buy the largest case quantity available. A 24-can case of 5-ounce Chunk Light Tuna typically runs $25 to $35 and represents 24 servings of complete protein. Each case and rotate on a 4-year cycle. 9. Canned sardines cost per serving, approximately 0.65 cents calories per serving, 190 calories, 1 can shelf life, 3 to 5 years commercially canned. Some varieties improved with aged sardines are, without question, the single most nutritionally dense item on this entire list relative to their cost. A single 3.75-ounce can of sardines packed in olive oil delivers approximately 190 calories, 22 grams of complete protein, 200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids, among the highest of any commonly available canned food, 35% of the daily recommended calcium, because you eat the soft edible bones, significant amounts of vitamin D, vitamin B12, selenium, and phosphorus. This nutrient profile, combined with a price point under $1 per can, makes sardines a genuinely exceptional preparedness food. Calcium from sardine bones deserves specific emphasis because it is so commonly overlooked. The edible bones in canned sardines have been softened through the canning process to the point where they are imperceptible in texture, but nutritionally intact. A single can of sardines provides more calcium than most dairy servings, making sardines one of the very few shelf-stable foods that addresses calcium needs without dairy. Sardines are one of the most sustainable fish in the global supply. They reproduce rapidly, feed low on the food chain, primarily plankton, and accumulate significantly less mercury than larger predatory fish. The global sardine supply is primarily sourced from Morocco, Portugal, Spain, and Peru, with processing in those countries or domestically. Storage guidance. Sardines packed in olive oil or water both store well. Some specialty producers note that their sardines, like wine, actually improve with several years of proper storage as the oil slowly integrates into the fish flesh and mellows the flavor. Store in a cool, dark location. Buy in cases of 12 or 24 cans. Rotate on a 4 to 5 year cycle, though the product remains safe and usable beyond that. Item 8. Dried red lentils cost per serving. Approximately 0.12 calories per serving, 230 calories. Quarter cup dry shelf life, 8 to 25 years properly sealed, red lentils are the best single food on this list when you combine all relevant variables. Cost per servings, calories per serving, protein per serving, cooking time, versatility, and shelf life. Approximately $0.12 per serving, they are nearly free on a per-meal basis. They cook from dry in 15 to 20 minutes with no soaking. Provide 18 grams of protein per dry quarter cup. They have a shelf life of 25 or more years when properly sealed. Unlike whole-dried beans, red lentils have had their seed coats removed during processing, which eliminates the soaking requirement and dramatically reduces cooking time. This matters enormously in a scenario where fuel, water, and time are constrained. 15 to 20-minute cooking window of red lentils compares to 60 to 90 minutes for soaked whole beans and 3 or more hours for unsoaked beans. Over the course of weeks or months, this fuel efficiency difference compounds into a significant practical advantage. Red lentils also dissolve during cooking, which creates a thick, naturally creamy texture. The basis of dal, the Indian preparation eaten across South Asia, East Africa, and the Middle East that has sustained hundreds of millions of people for thousands of years. Mixed with spices served over rice, and augmented with any available vegetable, red lentil dal is one of the most nutritionally complete and calorie-adequate simple meals in human culinary history. The lentil supply chain runs primarily through Canada, which produces approximately 30% of global lentil output, along with India, Turkey, and Australia. Canadian lentil harvests have experienced significant volatility in recent years, including a severe drought-related production shortfall in 2021 that reduced Canadian lentil output by approximately 40% and caused global prices to roughly double within months. Storage guidance. Bulk red lentils are available at South Asian grocery stores, restaurant supply retailers, and online at dramatically lower cost than retail grocery pricing. 25-pound bag costs approximately $25 to $35, representing roughly 200 serving equivalents at which a $0.12 per serving. Transfer to sealed Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers inside food-grade buckets. 7. Dried pinto beans cost per serving. Approximately 0. Calories per serving, 245 calories, quarter cup dry shelf life. 8 to 25 years properly sealed dried pinto beans are the single most economical complete meal base on this list. A 1-pound bag of dried pinto beans purchased at a grocery store costs approximately $1.50 to $2 and contains approximately 15 quarter-cup dry servings, meaning the cost per serving is $0 to serving 13-cent. Warehouse store pricing or restaurant supply quantities, this drops further. No other food on this list delivers this many calories and this much protein for this few dollars. Quarter cup of dry pinto beans, which yields approximately 2/3 cup cooked, provides 15 grams of protein, 15 grams of fiber, substantial iron, folate, magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, and 245 calories. This is a genuinely complete nutritional package. Not complete in the sense of meeting all daily requirements from a single food, but complete in the sense of providing meaningful quantities of every major macronutrient and a broad range of micronutrients. Pinto beans are the most consumed bean in the United States, forming the basis of refried beans, chili, burritos, and countless other preparations across Mexican-American, Southwestern, and Southern culinary traditions. Their flavor is mild, their texture when cooked is creamy and satisfying, and their culinary applications are essentially unlimited in the context of a simple stored food pantry. Pinto bean supply chain is primarily domestic. The United States is one of the world's largest producers, with significant production in Michigan, Nebraska, North Dakota, and Colorado. However, drought conditions across the High Plains growing region have created production volatility, and bean prices have risen substantially since 2020. These conditions are expected to remain a factor as climate variability in the growing region increases. Storage guidance for maximum shelf life: store in sealed Mylar bags with 2,000 cc oxygen absorbers inside food-grade ODP buckets. 5-gallon bucket holds approximately 30 pounds of dried pinto beans, roughly 450 quarter-cup serving equivalents. Stored properly, pinto beans will remain nutritionally adequate and edible for 25 years. Cook time is 60 to 90 minutes after soaking overnight, or 3 hours unsoaked. Pressure cooker dramatically reduces this to 20 to 25 minutes. 6. Rolled oats cost per serving. Approximately 0. Calories per serving, 150 calories, half cup dry shelf life, 2 to 5 years standard. To 30 years properly sealed with oxygen absorbers, rolled oats are the single most calorie-efficient breakfast food available, and one of the most nutritionally complete budget foods on this list. Half cup of dry rolled oats, which expand significantly during cooking to provide a genuinely filling portion, costs approximately 0. Huns when purchased in bulk, provides 150 calories, 5 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber, including the distinctive beta-glucan that gives oats their cholesterol-lowering and satiety-producing properties, and a range of minerals including manganese, phosphorus, and magnesium. The beta-glucan content of oats deserves specific attention in a preparedness context. Soluble fiber forms a gel in the digestive system that dramatically slows glucose absorption, producing sustained energy levels over 3 to 4 hours rather than the sharp spike and crash cycle of refined grain products. In a high-stress situation where maintaining consistent energy and focus is critical, this sustained energy property has real functional value. Rolled oats are also extraordinarily versatile beyond hot oatmeal. They can be eaten cold, soaked in water overnight. They can be used as a binder in protein-based dishes. A tablespoon of oats added to beans thickens and enriches the preparation. They can be coarsely ground into oat flour for baking. They can be toasted over a fire and eaten as a granola-style snack. They mix readily with sugar, peanut butter, and dried fruit to produce no-bake cookies and energy balls that are highly calorie-dense and palatable to children. Storage guidance. Transfer from cardboard containers immediately into sealed food-grade buckets or Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. 5-gallon bucket holds approximately 30 pounds of rolled oats. Half a cup dry per serving, this represents approximately 240 servings or 240 breakfasts for one person. The dramatic shelf life extension from oxygen absorber sealing from 2 to 5 years to potentially 25 to 30 makes proper repackaging one of the highest value preparedness actions you can take. Item 5. All-purpose white rice cost per serving, approximately 7 calories. 210 calories, quarter cup dry shelf life. 25 to 30 years properly sealed. 3 to 5 years standard storage. White rice is the foundation of emergency food storage worldwide, and its position at number 5 on this budget list reflects both its extraordinary cost efficiency and its slightly lower nutritional completeness compared to the 4 items ranked above it. Approximately 0.7 per serving when purchased in bulk, a 50-pound bag of long-grain white rice costs approximately $30 to $40 at a warehouse store or restaurant supply retailer. White rice delivers 210 calories per quarter cup dry serving, meaning it provides approximately 3,000 calories per dollar. No other complete food source on this list achieves this caloric economy. Over the full 50-pound bag, you are looking at approximately 700 quarter-cup serving equivalents, or 700 meals worth of the caloric base for roughly $35. The supply chain case for rice is important and often overlooked. The United States is actually a net exporter of rice, producing primarily in Arkansas, California, Louisiana, and Texas, and the domestic supply is relatively stable. However, the global rice market is another matter entirely. Asia produces and consumes approximately 90% of the world's rice, and when Asian production shortfalls occur, as they have periodically due to drought, flooding, or El Niño-related weather events, global price spikes can be sudden and severe. 2008, rice prices tripled on global markets within months, triggering food security crises across dozens of countries. A similar event is always possible. White rice pairs with virtually every other food on this list. Beans and rice is one of the most nutritionally complementary and calorie-adequate combinations in human history. Tills and rice is another. Rice forms the base that makes modest amounts of protein, fat, and vegetables feel like a complete and satisfying meal. Storage guidance. Seal in Mylar bags with 2000 cc oxygen absorbers inside food-grade AB buckets. 5-gallon bucket holds approximately 35 pounds. Each bucket represents roughly 490 quarter-cup serving equivalents. Store in a consistent, cool environment. Every 10-degree Fahrenheit reduction in storage temperature approximately doubles the effective shelf life. Item 4 honey cost per serving. Approximately 0.85 N calories per serving. 1 tablespoon. Shelf life. Indefinite. The only food on this list with no upper shelf life limit. Honey is the most expensive item on this budget list on a per-serving basis, coming in just under our $1 for threshold at approximately 85 per tablespoon when purchased in bulk domestic quantities. But honey earns its top 4 position through a combination of unique properties that no other food on this list can replicate. First, its shelf life. While every other food on this list has a maximum realistic shelf life, measured in years or decades, honey has no meaningful upper limit. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs and found it still edible. This is not myth or legend. It is documented archaeological reality, explained by honey's extremely low water activity, acidic pH, and the natural antimicrobial compounds including hydrogen peroxide that are incorporated into honey during production. Second, its medical utility. Raw honey applied to minor wounds, cuts, and burns provides genuine antimicrobial protection supported by clinical research. Medical-grade Manuka honey is used in modern hospitals precisely because of this property. Clinical studies have also confirmed that honey is as effective as dextromethorphan, the active ingredient in most commercial cough syrups, for suppressing cough in both adults and children. A scenario where access to a pharmacy is disrupted, a jar of raw honey is a functional medicine cabinet item. Third, its food preservation capability. Honey can be used to preserve fruits, nuts, and herbs. A jar of raw honey with whole fruits submerged in it will preserve those fruits for months or longer without refrigeration. Supply chain note. Over 70% of honey sold in the United States is imported, primarily from Argentina, Brazil, Vietnam, and India. Adulteration of imported honey with high-fructose corn syrup is a documented and widespread problem in the global honey trade. The FDA has repeatedly found imported honey products that do not meet purity standards. This makes sourcing domestic, raw, and ideally locally produced honey specifically important. Storage guidance. Buy raw, unfiltered domestic honey in bulk, 5-pound or 60-pound buckets from local beekeepers or farmers markets. Store sealed at room temperature. Crystallization is natural and reversible. Do not feed to infants under 12 months. Item 3. Dried red lentils and pinto beans combined, the 0-11 protein system. Before we reach the top 2, we need to address the most powerful budget combination on this entire list, a pairing that nutritionists, agricultural economists, and cultures across 6 continents have recognized for thousands of years: legumes and grains. Dried red lentils at $12 per serving, and dried pinto beans at 10 cents per serving are individually the most economical protein sources available without refrigeration. Combined with white rice at $7 per serving, the total cost of a nutritionally complete, protein-adequate, calorie-sufficient meal is approximately $19 to $1.31 for the entire combination. The nutritional reason this pairing works so powerfully is the complementary amino acid profiles of legumes and grains. Legumes are rich in the amino acid lysine but low in methionine. Grains are high in methionine but low in lysine. When eaten together, not necessarily in the same meal but within the same day, they provide a complete amino acid profile equivalent to animal protein. This is why rice and beans has been the dietary foundation of thriving cultures from Mexico to West Africa to India to Japan for thousands of years. It is not poverty food. It is nutritional engineering that predates modern nutrition science by millennia. Household that has 50 pounds of white rice, 30 pounds of dried pinto beans, and 20 pounds of red lentils has the caloric and protein foundation for one adult's nutritional needs for approximately 4 to 6 months, at a combined cost at bulk pricing of roughly $75 to $90 total. This is the most cost-effective preparedness foundation available to any household at any budget level. The pairing also has an important practical advantage. Lentils cook quickly, 15 to 20 minutes, no soak, while beans require longer preparation. Having both allows you to match preparation time to available resources. When fuel is plentiful, make beans. Fuel is scarce, make lentils. Item 2. Salt cost per serving, approximately 1 calories per serving, 0 calories shelf life, indefinite, a mineral. It does not expire. Salt is number 2 on this budget list, not number 1, only because of one specific property of the item at number 1 that gives it a slight edge in emergency utility. But make no mistake, salt at approximately 1 cent per serving is the most cost-efficient item on this entire list by an enormous margin, and its historical importance as a food preservation agent makes it irreplaceable in any serious preparedness pantry. 50 pounds of non-iodized food-grade canning salt costs approximately $15 at most grocery stores, about so soons per teaspoon serving. This is an almost absurd cost-to-utility ratio. Typical household cooking usage rates of approximately 2 teaspoons per day. 50 pounds of salt represents approximately 25 years of supply. 25 years for $15. Salt's primary preparedness value extends far beyond seasoning food. Before refrigeration, salt was how humanity preserved virtually everything: meat, fish, vegetables, dairy, eggs. Salt draws moisture out of food through osmosis, creating an environment where bacteria cannot grow. This function remains as valid today as it was 10,000 years ago. A household with substantial salt stores can cure meat obtained by hunting or from a neighbor's farm, preserve vegetables through lactofermentation, requiring only salt and water, and extend the useful life of any protein source far beyond what would otherwise be possible. The word salary comes from the Latin salarium, payment made to Roman soldiers in salt or for the purchase of salt. Pre-modern trade economies, salt was treated with the same value as gold in many regions. This historical significance is not nostalgia, reflects the genuine, irreplaceable utility of a mineral that has no substitute in human nutrition or food preservation. Electrolyte note: in a scenario involving physical exertion, sweating, vomiting, or diarrhea, maintaining adequate sodium intake becomes medically important. Dehydration alone does not cause hyponatremia. Low sodium dehydration combined with fluid replacement using plain water can. Stored salt provides the electrolyte replacement capability that addresses this risk. Storage guidance: non-iodized canning or pickling salt stores indefinitely in sealed containers. Iodized salt loses iodine over time, especially when exposed to heat and humidity. Store iodine tablets separately if iodine sufficiency is a concern. Buy in 25-pound or 50-pound bags from a grocery store, warehouse store, or farm supply retailer. Package into sealed food-grade containers. Item 1. White rice, the undisputed budget preparedness champion. Wait, you thought we already covered rice at number 5? We did. So why does it appear again at number 1? Because the purpose of this final position is not simply to rank rice above salt. It is to make an argument, backed by data, by history, and by the daily lived reality of hundreds of millions of people around the world, that no other single food on this list, and arguably no other food in existence, combines cost efficiency, caloric density, shelf life, palatability, versatility, and universal acceptability the way white rice does. Let us revisit the numbers from a perspective you may not have considered. 0 cents per serving, white rice is the cheapest calorie available in any grocery store in America. 210 calories per quarter cup dry serving, it is calorie dense. 25 to 30 years of sealed shelf life, it will outlast any other perishable or semi-perishable food in your home. Essentially universal palatability. Rice is accepted by virtually every culture, every age group, every dietary restriction profile. It has no peer in any of these categories individually, and no competitor across all of them simultaneously. But here is the argument for number 1 that goes beyond the basic metrics. White rice is the food that makes every other food on this list better. Rice with beans is a complete protein. Rice with lentils is a complete meal. Rice with canned sardines is a genuinely satisfying dinner. Rice with peanut butter is a calorie-dense snack. Rice with honey is a simple, comforting dessert. Rice with bouillon is a flavorful broth dish. Rice with canned tomatoes is a one-pot meal. There is no food on this list that white rice does not improve when combined with it. This combinatorial property, the ability to serve as the base for any meal, to accept any protein source, any fat, any vegetable, any flavoring, is why rice has been the dietary foundation of the majority of the human population for thousands of years. It is not a cultural accident. It is the recognition, worked out over generations of lived experience, that rice is the most reliable, versatile, and forgiving staple food available to human beings. The full budget framework this video has built comes to this in round numbers: 50 pounds of white rice at approximately $35, 30 pounds of dried pinto beans at approximately $25, 20 pounds of red lentils at approximately $25, 5 gallons of canola oil at approximately $40, 25 pounds of salt at approximately $15, 25 pounds of sugar at approximately $20, 10 pounds of all-purpose flour at approximately $10, 10 pounds of rolled oats at approximately $10, a gallon of soy sauce at approximately $12, gallon of white vinegar at approximately $4, 5 pounds of peanut butter at approximately $9, 2 dozen cans of chunk light tuna at approximately $30, 2 dozen cans of sardines at approximately $25, dozen cans of canned tomatoes at approximately $15, pound of dry milk powder at approximately $8, a tin of instant coffee at approximately $25, total approximately $308. For $308, a household of 4 has the foundation of several months of genuine nutritional adequacy. Not gourmet eating, not comfortable eating by modern standards, but complete protein-adequate, calorie-sufficient eating that preserves health and function across a broad range of disruption scenarios. Spread across 12 months of gradual purchasing, about $26 per month, this becomes invisible in a normal household budget. That is the argument for number 1. That is the argument for white rice. That is the argument for starting this month with whatever you can afford, buying one item at a time, building quietly and consistently, and never being the household that runs out of food. Thank you for watching. Share this with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe. We publish content like this every week.